Welcome to Rangers Radio on the Matchday show, the world's one and only unique live phone-in show for Rangers supporters all over the world. Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Well, hello, good evening and welcome back to Rangers Radio. Bilbao 2, Rangers 0. And an interesting game away in the Basque region. It's all about moments. But joining myself upstairs back in the show is Port Bear and GB. Evening, Port.
Aye.
Moments, mate. Moments.
Aye, absolutely. Don't make any excuses. I think we'll
No,
get to
the best football team won on the night, but however, moments. GB.
Aye, moments, Ox. Let's say the first half you could say about our penalty claim, and then the second half you've had Cherny with his cross. I get man near the end there as well. Should have probably been a wee bit more composed.
Raskin hit the post, and it could have been. I'd like to see it again if it hits the boys' horn.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yep, the moments. That's what you're talking about, mate.
Aye, moments, and then obviously Tav, who I thought had a good game, and then he just switches off. He knew he'd done it, but it's no excusable. Positives and negatives. Injuries again. Ridvan, chocolate soldier, hamstrings, mate. You know, it's been ways, but that's 3 seasons now. I'm just going to look and see how many games he's played. When your hamstrings go so young, Port, it's usually telling, isn't it?
Mike Owen's best example, mate. Mike Owen's probably the best example of it. The guy, got moved to Real Madrid, won Ballon d'Or when he was at Liverpool, but when his hamstrings started to go, he basically, his whole football changed, because he couldn't run the full pace that he could run at when he was most dangerous. And the injuries made a big impact in the game last year. We lost Ridvan, who was playing right back. There was a system put in place, a formation put in place.
Why did we change the system? Why did we not just bring on Salah and move Tav to where Ridvan was playing? Why did we not do that? Why did we then put the guy who was arguably the best player at the start of the game and put him to left wing back and put Conor Barron on the park, who was pretty much ineffective, mate? Yeah.
That's exactly what I thought. I'm sitting thinking, and that's exactly what was my thinking. I thought, we shuffle, Salah on, Tav out to right back.
By the way, what a second half that boy had.
Salah?
Aye,
especially when, remember, the carry on when Barry took him off in the half hour, and people were thinking,
he's bounced back for it, mate.
He's bounced back. You're right, mate.
He did an excellent second half. Excellent.
Yeah. For a young lad.
GB.
Ox, you've hit the nail on the head. I wasn't impressed with their management team the night, mate. I think they looked out their depth and all the night. This passing notes across to Tav, and Tav couldn't even read the writing. It was distracting him for the game. Had to run there and get better direction off of Barry. The tactics were getting changed practically every 20 minutes. Like, you can't be doing that in a quarter final, Ox. You need to, what I say, have a kind of settled team. I get that there was injuries and all that, Ox, but I know Barry says my team's got to be flexible, but we're far too flexible tonight. They're changing tack all the time, and it was doing my absolute head in, Ox. I think what it says, they contributed to it the night.
I'll give you my problem. Diamandi's a ball carrier, right? He's going to shimmy. Port knows what I'm talking about. He's going to shimmy, he's going to break, he's going to make space, he's going to run forward with the ball. And then you're influencing the game in the middle of the park. He steals the ball, he's quick. We bring Barron on. But Conor Barron, he gives you everything he's got. It's up for debate where he's good enough to play at this level. And I couldn't understand it. We changed our whole system because one player got injured. I think it was obvious what you done. Left it as it was. By the way, and Jeff didn't have a good start to the match. But he's forgot to go forward as well, like Conor. and just shove Tav out one, and then just move either Suter or Balogun to the right and Salah to the left. It was a simple change, and we done it and changed my thing. And by the way, to be fair to the management team, they nearly got it right. They had a few chances, and then right before half time, a silly penalty. John got suckered into it, mate. The forward's been really cute. I don't suppose technically there's no fouled him, but there's been a coming together, and the boys played him like he's played him like a banjo port bear, isn't he?
You know what it's like, mate. There's levels to this game, Oxford, and you know the big striker done very well to keep his left foot in and sort of almost drew the foul for Suter, which again, I'm sure it was Raskin that was getting back as well, mate. He didn't need to make the foul. He didn't make the foul when it happened.
He just had to stand up, mate.
He did.
There was about 10 seconds to go, and he's going away for the goal, everything.
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
That's what I'm saying about moments. Listen, mate, we could have been 2 or 3 down. Yeah.
Aye.
We could have, Right, I'll ask you the $1 million question. The tug on Dessers, who, by the way, I thought was dreadful tonight. Dreadful.
Oh.
And he showed his petulance and his attitude and how lazy he could be. But, however, he could have had a moment because it was a pull on his jersey. Penalty kick, yes or no? GB.
Yes, mate.
Port Bear.
Penalty and a sending off, last man. 100%. One of the easiest penalty.
All right. I'm not going to argue with you used to. You are too big for me.
How do you think? You think
penalty, mate. Penalty because he's been caught pulling his jersey. Whether he's getting the ball or no is irrelevant. He's moving towards the ball and he's impeded him.
So, why did VAR not look at it? I know there was a time they've got to wait till the ball goes out a player, get that, right? But the ball went right back down to our end. It eventually does go out because Tab puts it off one of their players, and it never even get looked at, mate.
I don't know if it got looked at, but we never get any information. They never said penalty checker in, did they?
No, nothing.
And by the way, see when Raskin hit the post, did that come off the boy's horn?
No,
which was,
did it not come off the keeper's hip?
Right.
That's why it goes on the post, mate. It comes off the keeper's hip and goes on the post.
No, the one that when it bounced up, when Raskin hit the post, it bounced up and it fell to him, mate. And the boy is it's a bit similar to Big Sterling's last week. He's not played the ball, but he's.
Sorry. Yeah. Aye. Again, not looked at.
I never really seen an angle to see if it hit his horn or no, so I'm inconclusive with that one. I don't know if you picked up on that, GB.
Aye, Ox, the commentary and Ali and all the rest of it, they were all aware of that. They said that it hit his horn and they were going to look at it, but again, it seemed to get kind of brushed there. Along with, like we said about with Dessers penalty claim. Now, at first, see when you see like Dessers, it looks as though he's like kind of like doing a theatrical turn and looking as if he's like spinning and falling down. But when they slow it down, Ox, you see the guy clearly pulling his shirt, and like he says, he had to go and change his shirt. And yet again, and this is where Dessers lets himself down, Ox. He goes on and on and on. He goes and gets his tap, and then eventually gets a yellow card. And then that's him. He can't hold up the ball for the rest of the game. He can't put in challenges. He can't wrestle with guys because he's at the risk of getting a red card that early on in the game.
Petulance, mate.
Aye, shocking, mate.
Petulance, yeah.
Can I come in there, Ox?
Yes, mate.
See, in regards to his performance tonight, mate, this is like basic under-10s football. You learn this, right? When he's up there, Oxford, all that kept happening was our midfield and defence weren't getting a break because Dessers wasn't fighting for the ball. Not even for a challenge in. He was caught on his heels so many times. Vivian and Yeri were just constantly on him. And I know he's up there against 2 Oxford, but he has to battle. He has to gear midfield a chance to get up close to him. Chern to get close to him.
You've seen Raskin.
Nothing stuck to him, mate. Nothing stuck to him.
in the second half, you seen Raskin game it tight, yeah.
Rightly so, mate. Aye, because it's they're in there. Diamandi, I saw looks here because was asked to play all sorts of positions where he shouldn't have been tonight. But the guy stuck his, he went out and gave it his all. And then Raskin's in. You always talk about this. Raskin and Barron are in there on their own against three of them. You know what I mean? So because Dessers isn't giving him a break, and see this throwing his arms up. Oh, shit, it's really starting to annoy me. You see this moaning, and this is why he's not getting in, because the rest must be like, he's a moaning getter, so he's in my ear constantly, pulling his jersey, throwing his arms up, and I think, see the wee earlier dive that he did before, when the rest told him to go back and flare before the penalty decision, I think that maybe have influenced the ref by saying, no, he had a wee dive earlier on, and he's maybe thought, no, you've dived again.
Maybe.
I think that
maybe, but it shouldn't. Listen, I didn't think it was initially. I didn't think it was a penalty because I thought he'd done one of his Swan Lakes. But however, when I seen it back and he's been running away from pulled the jersey, then he's been doing as if he's been shot. But the thing about it is the guy's grabbed his jersey. So it's a penalty kick. But I mean, we could have been doing. They've had opportunities before then, but they didn't make Kelly make many saves. Yeah, because if Liam Kelly didn't have, bizarrely, once again, he didn't have that much today. Yeah.
No,
we better get these phone lines open. We better get these phone lines opened and let some people come in. So, if you don't mind, let's hear from these.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
For the piece, the best team won, but there was real positive, I thought, in Salah. Raskin, Diamandi, they showed they can play at that level. Even right in the last minute, young Ingerman went through and had a chance, and frustrating. And if it had went the other way, we could have easily been 3 down at half time, but we could have been 1-1-0. Anyway, we've been joined by Josh. Evening, Josh. You likes us after the European games. Evening, mate.
Good evening, boys. How's it going?
Yeah, well, we've had better nights, mate, but moments, mate, moments. The best team, but you've got to take your moments when you get them, eh?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, from a neutral point of view, it was a heroic effort from Rangers, given the injuries. Given they were stretched, weren't they? They were changing formation, trying to fit people in. Paul Bayer was there scratching his head, wasn't he? Thinking, God, what have I done to deserve this? I mean, they started off really resolute, didn't they? Emma Dodds made a fantastic point at half time about putting the bodies on the line and really defending as a team. And it was backed up by Van Bronckhorst and Alan Hutton as well. Two players who played defence for Rangers at a high level as well. So the signs were there. They were being competitive, but right on the stroke of half time, a little daft foul like that just changed the whole complexion for me of the game. It allowed Atletico to
took the pressure off them, Josh. Yeah, we took the pressure off them. The pressure,
yeah, of course it did.
Aye.
But if you go back to earlier in the game with Dessers when he goes into the area, I was watching Real Madrid v Arsenal last night. A similar sort of thing was actually given as a penalty. Because on first look, you look at the ball was going away from Dessers somewhat, but that shouldn't sort of decide whether it's a penalty or not. Given that we had one last night where Courtois catches the ball about 15 yards away from where the foul is. So Dessers gets up, his shirt's ripped to bits. There's visual evidence there that it's a foul. The proximity to the ball, yeah, it was far away. I can see why it wasn't given, boys, but given what's gone before, you talk about consistency. You've got that video technology to have a look at it. I mean, I know it's hindsight, but if Rangers get a penalty and go 1-0 up, you just never know, do you? But the whole thing was taken away from them, wasn't it, by that external factor of the ref not seeing it. I don't know how on earth they've not given that, really.
Well, when initially my initial take on it, I didn't think it was a penalty until I seen it back, mate, and then I thought, oh, this is going to go to VAR, we're going to get this. Yeah, I was actually surprised we never, because the guy's caught blatantly pulling his jersey. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've sort of really seen it where players get up and the shirt's ripped to bits as well. So, to have that visual evidence, and then Des just gets booked for arguing the case. Well, what does the ref expect him to do? Because he's walking around with no shirt pretty much because he's been tugged by the defender. Whether he's going to get there or not's beside the point. As I keep saying, it's more about the fact that there was one last night in an identical premise. But I mean, we can talk about that all night. But what I want to say is the stretched Rangers side pushed themselves to the absolute limit. A couple of small individual mistakes, like for the second goal, Tavernier's ball watching a little bit. But you have to be concentrated for the full 90 minutes in that situation, don't you? Because you're second best, and away from home in such a difficult place to go as well, and the team that's sort of chasing a little bit because they're trying to hang on to the scoreless game that would have took them to extra time. So all those things considered, the fans have had the money's worth going over there. It's been a fantastic run for Rangers. Celtic and Rangers as European exploits have put the Scottish game back on the map a little bit. I was sat in the pub. They had Tottenham on one big telly, United on the other, and I was sat there watching this game on my mobile phone, and I was asking them what their scores were, but no one was really interested. Till I was sort of telling them about the controversial moments and the fact that went to 46 minutes without conceding Rangers. So I think that raised a couple of eyebrows, because a lot of people thought that with Bilbao being the favourites for the competition, it was sort of a foregone conclusion, but it proved to be anything but. They had to really work for the goals, didn't they, boys? They didn't just get given it on a plate. Rangers dug in them.
I thought the first half they gave us a bit of doing, but the second half I thought we'd done okay. And made moments. Obviously, we hit the post. We got in areas where we could hurt them. We were in the box more in the second half than we were the first game and a half, for obviously different reasons. And we played some no bad stuff at times, but we weren't great. And our centre forward, mate, it wasn't just his fault we get beaten. His overall play was poor, mate, poor. And we had some players like Yefty. He came into our team and he's quick, that boy. And he just was doing it when he made his debut. I don't know if it was his debut, but his European debut away in Poland against Dynamo Kiev. He just been doing it left and crossed it in. He doesn't go forward. He's just stopped going forward. He looks a boy short of confidence. And also injuries caught up with his Josh. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the young lad that came on at centre half, he's had a couple of bad performances by all accounts, hasn't he? But he sort of stood up tonight. And
he's a good game. He's a good centre.
Yeah, really made himself counted. But, if you look at that converse with that Raskan chance, I thought initially, he could have maybe done better with it. But he actually hit it really well, and the keeper stands up, makes it an unorthodox, remarkable save. And it's fine margins like that. I mean, that's something I didn't have written down, actually. So that's a fantastic point that you made about had moments like that gone in your favour. You just never know. It's small minor details. It's like I said, like a player like Nico Williams, he was quiet in the first game. He was never going to be quiet tonight because players don't normally have two bad games when they're at that level. But Tav got a little bit of a pasting because they had to move him, didn't they, to right back. He started off at centre half where he could sort of tuck in a little bit. There wasn't the pressure to defend that wide channel. But you're looking at small details, which is a sign of how far in Europe anyway Rangers have come. I've read comments like, Rangers have done rubbish domestically. They've been knocked out by Queen's Park, the second best to Celtic in every facet, and they've gone so far in the second-rate European competition. And I'm thinking, well, A, you can only play what's in front of you, and B, Rangers have probably played harder teams than Celtic have when you actually look at it, boys, as a whole debate here. Not that we're going down that route for a debate, but I'm just saying that'd be my comeback to that, would be that through the Europa League, Rangers have actually played some really difficult ties and emerged unscathed. So, what does that tell you about their ability to get up for these big games? They've definitely got it in them to do that. The challenge being when it's at Ibrox against some middle-of-the-road side domestically, that's when it's got to improve, like we said last week. But I was 90% happy with the stuff that I saw tonight. And, you can sort of see that I've questioned them defensively as well lately, but apart from the little couple of moments there where, blaming individuals isn't always the way to go. But you
No,
win as a
no,
team.
you've got
You
to
win as a
critique
team,
the-
lose as a team. But
Aye,
you know,
you've got to critique the moments, mate. That's the problem. Anyway, I'll come back to you, Josh. We've been joined by David. Evening, David.
How's it going, mate?
Aye, mate. Aye, moments, mate. Moments.
Aye, it's I've got to say, I think overall they were probably the better side.
Oh, aye, particularly in the first half, David.
Aye, the first half, I was saying to myself, I said, if we get in here nothing each at half time, I'd be delighted. And even when you went, I know it's a bit of a sickener that, going in with the penalty at half time, 1-0. I thought Rangers in the second half, I've got to say, I thought Diamandi was terrific tonight, by the way. Absolutely brilliant.
I couldn't understand why they moved him. I couldn't understand it.
And by the way, we actually tired him with doing that. Because you're drawn from this side to the next side. He did a great game, I thought, Diamandi. I thought, I've got to say, I know Tavernier, and you can't do this, switch off with the back post again. I thought Tavernier was in a good game as well. Big Shooter was brilliant. I know the penalty. And that penalty puts me so in mind of remember the one with Kemar Roof against Celtic? When Dessers gets his foot in and he kicks the back of the leg and it goes against us. No, for me it is a penalty, right? But I thought we were coming into the game. I've got to say again, and I don't know how many times I'm going to have to say this. This Dessers again. How many times is he going to be on his heels when this ball goes up to him? I mean, he's not holding anything up. The amount of times the ball gets fed into him and he's behind the centre half and he's moaning and complaining. Not, come on, I just couldn't believe it. I wasn't overly impressed with him. And it was a bit of a brave effort, but it's kind of moments again. I don't think wee Barn came on as well. I thought Barn was just in there to put kind of fires out.
I couldn't understand the substitution. I couldn't understand it. I was scratching my head when we bring Barron and we move Diamandi. Although somebody it was doing all right in the middle of the park, Barron's not going to carry the ball for you. His first instinct is to go back. He works hard, but his first instinct is to go back the way. He doesn't make anything happen. He doesn't run forward with a pass. He's no physicality. He's no get great pace. Decent engine, but no get great pace. People just brush him aside, mate. Yeah, and no offence to the boy, but that's no his level, mate.
100%. I agree with Diamandi. For me, was Rangers' best player by a country mile. By the way, I thought Diamandi was superb tonight.
I thought and Salah had an excellent second half.
By the way, he was excellent when he came on. Really impressed with him when he came on.
Jeffrey looked as if he'd frozen the headlights. He couldn't go forward and kept getting the ball away. Balogun and Suter, apart from that one moment with John, they were doing all right. Tav had an excellent game, but blew it because of that big moment. Took the pressure off them.
Exactly.
And Diamandi and Raskin gave you everything to go. Cherny didn't do a lot, and Dessers and Hadji. Giannis, it's just his lack of pace, mate. You can see the boy's got ability, 2 feet.
I mean, there's no everyone who's on here know that Hadji's got quality about him. He doesn't have the pace, as you say.
No pace,
It's like a Tom Lawrence. You know what I mean?
Well, he's disappeared completely. So, but in you come, GB, and then we'll go back to Port. Then I'll go back to Josh.
Just to add into the Tierney thing, I thought he was absolutely murdered tonight as well. Again, just didn't move well at all for me, Ox. The Barn one coming on and like I says, taking Hadji off. You've said it yourself there, Ox. Like, you need experience. We could have put Hadji into Barnes' position. Hadji worked really, really hard last week in a defensive position for us, and I think he would have, Max has done a better job in Barn tonight. Barn was a rabbit in the headlights for me.
We didn't have to change the two we had in there, mate.
No, I know, and that's why I'm not happy with the management tonight. Barry got it bang.
Aye, we only had to. Well, we nearly got it right, mate. Because if we come in nothing each at half time, he'd have said he got it right. But my midfield fell out the game, and with no ball carrier in there. Yeah, and obviously Diamante Portbear covers the yards quicker than Conor Barron does, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's a great ball carrier, mate. Takes the pressure off you, even in tight spaces. You've seen it in the last game at Ibrox when he had 3 of them. He gets out of trouble. He's, nice passer of the ball. Very, very intelligent, mate. But Barry's substitutions, mate, I'm like you. I was absolutely confused, and I think it caused too many other positions around the pitch, including Diamante when he get moved out to the left. It left us wide open down the left, which didn't help Yefty either. So I think them injuries sort of conspired against us, mate. I didn't get helped to shape at all. And Barry went with a very, very strange, substitution, in my opinion, when there were slight movements he could have made, mate, but we should have kept his compact, would have kept the shape there. There wouldn't have been too much confusion. I think he caused confusion, Oxford, right? Because as GB touched on earlier on, there's a bit of paper going on the pitch and all that carry on, and I don't think they fully understood what was going on and what was being asked. It has to be clear, concise instruction, Oxford. Football's a simple game. You know that, mate. Josh will know that. Gaz will know that. David will know that. Football's a simple game. Sometimes don't overcomplicate it, because if you mess the message up, or you mix the message and you make it not clear, it causes confusion on the pitch, mate. And at time we did look a wee bit disjointed all over the place. But like I say, the biggest problem for me tonight was Dessers wasn't giving himself a chance to let Cherny get close to him. The midfield to get up the pitch and get close to him to make better chances. Everything kept coming right back to his, mate, and that is hard work in the engine room. If that ball keeps coming back to you, it's hard work, mate.
Aye. Listen, Cyril Dessers isn't the reason we lost the game, but his performance was poor, and sometimes there was one in the first half. Cherny was going through, and he was standing 5 yards offside in their box. Just standing. Yeah, and he lets himself down. He's the biggest enigma I've ever known in watching Rangers. He's the biggest enigma. He's done things that are just out of this world, and then he does things that you're like, you've never played the game before. But Josh, and you come then back to David.
Yeah, so on the Dessers thing, it's fundamentally vital in a team like that that's defending and looking for the out ball, that he sort of puts more in than what he did, because, totally in agreement with some of the points that got made there about, you need the team to be pushing up and, trying to get further forward from that position, and that's where, Dessers should have been coming in. They went for the unorthodox 2-up, didn't they, with Igaman and Dessers, towards the end when they were chasing. They even brought Danilo on to give him a third option to aim at, but that was desperation stuff. Question for the fellow callers is, does this provide some evidence to the contrary of what I was saying about Barry potentially being in line for the job full time? Because he spoke about some of his substitutions, some of his tactical decisions within this game. Does that provide evidence that maybe now isn't the time to be giving him the job full time, or do you think there's still some merit behind it if you look at an overall perception since he come in and what he's been able to sort of do when he's got his feet under the table in this role?
It's difficult, mate, when the emotions are running high. But listen, I'll let David answer that one. I'll take the fifth in that one, yeah? Be a coward, Josh. And I'll pass that to David. There you go, David. That's a good for you, David.
Barry Ferguson. I love Barry Ferguson. I was delighted when he came in to that role as a caretaker. He'll not get the job. But I'd be absolutely stunned if Barry Ferguson get the job. He's done a great job with Rangers, getting... But these players, again, they get that lift. They've done it time and time again with managers. Give them a lift and then all of a sudden they start throwing in bad performances. I've got to say, see the night, I thought we really missed Sterling, by the way. And I know injured again, but I thought Sterling would have been a real help in there the night. Seen the middle of the park, I would have loved him in there with Diamante and Raskin. I thought he'd have made some difference. But again, obviously it's... and as I'm saying, Dessers, you can't trust Dessers. You need to sell him in the summer. He has to go in the summer. I don't care what
The
anybody
right
says.
time
His
to sell him,
stock's
mate.
never going to be any higher.
He's 2 years into his 4-year contract. He's in his early 30s. It's time to get rid, mate. Yeah.
We have to get rid of him. You can't trust the guy. How many times? How much evidence do we need? He's no. I know he scored, and I know he turns up and he's all. I give him off for Rangers, but I'm not good enough to play with him. You understand what I mean?
Aye.
Aye. Just again, it's a laziness and not lazy, but he's on his heels at times. See, I hunt the defender. It was driving me mental. And then Agaman comes on. He's away out right. She playing Agaman away out wide. That doesn't work either. And we're playing him out wide to compensate for Dessers up front.
He's a number 9, Agaman. Yeah, he's a number 9.
100%.
And we have to get him. He has to start playing between the posts. Yeah, that's if I was coaching him, I would say you need to play between the posts because you're a goal scorer. There's no point in you being away at the wing trying to cross the ball, you know. And you come, Port. By the way, I'll no cop out, Josh. Barry Ferguson, I think, won 3 out of 10 games, mate.
Yeah, when you sort of put it like that, it doesn't look great, does it, from a statistical point of view? But you know,
is it 3?
Barry's passion for Rangers maybe matches it, doesn't it?
I'll say it. Kilmarnock away, Celtic away, Dundee away, Fenerbahce away, 4.
Yeah, does Barry's passion for Rangers mask this though? Because like fans are giving him a bit more leeway because what happened with Philippe Coman wasn't acceptable, and it was sort of Barry was brought in for that reason, wasn't he, to reunite the fan base, and they've gone on a little bit of a stretch in Europe, haven't they, to the point where the fans have gone over and hopefully enjoyed this experience tonight, minus the result. You know, they've had a little outing to Spain and they've seen the team on the whole.
We've won 1 out of 4 in Europe. That's the last time. Fenerbahce and Part2's the last time we've played well, mate. Last 2 games we've played well. We've had battling performances, Bilbao down to 10 men so early. And then obviously tonight there's just been a couple of moments undone us and we never get the bounce of the ball or a decision could have went away. It could have been a different game. No, we could have lost by more. But we never. But no, I don't. It's a no for me. What about you, GB?
It's a definite no for me after the night, Oxley. Is that the night we constantly changing tactics and doing what he done after putting Barn on was just absolutely mental.
And I said to the start, Ox, here, I said to the very start, I mentioned it on the show, I think Barry Ferguson is a man motivator and the guy to get the synergy back between the fans and the team. You know, great, superb. And I've said there should be a place for him when the new regime comes in.
But I think the problem is the new manager will want to pick his own team if it's a new manager.
Yeah, I get that.
You know, anyway, I think we'll be joined by Mark. Evening, Mark.
Aye, how's it going, lads? Here, just before I start, Harry Maguire has just put Man U through 5-4, believe it or not, in the Europa League, which is absolutely mental. But no, lads, I think you're being a wee bit harsh tonight. Like, you try losing your right back, you try losing your left centre back, and not say the management team were a bit behind the curve tonight. They had to adjust many times, and I think they did quite well. But individually wise, I actually think Diamande played really well tonight. I think you've been a bit overly critical in Czerny. I thought he did well as well. But the main thing I was going to say was, in terms of like the real moments in the game, I think there was way more contact in the Dessers penalty decision than there was in the Suter. And to be honest with you, lads, I think I'm the only one that thinks Suter got the ball. Like, I think he touched the ball and then he took the man. Like, I honestly don't think it was a penalty. So I think we were a wee bit unlucky tonight, and I'll be interested to hear what Mourinho thinks about the whole incident.
Yeah, Josie tipped it, didn't he? Josie tipped it. Listen, my criticism, the shuffle when Ridvan got injured was, well, they must have known that Ridvan was a doubt because he'd more tape on his legs, yeah.
Completely. Yeah, he was completely taped up, wasn't he? You seen that under his shorts. But we had to risk it for the biscuit, you know. We were missing
I get
Sterling,
that,
you
too.
know, and I think Barry set us up well. That's why I think he's been a bit critical. Honestly, I can't really fault a Rangers player to a man, to be honest with you, tonight. Like, you know, we're up against £100 million players here, and they did, you know, the last Scottish team, you know, in the quarterfinals, and they did Scottish football proud. I think we were just probably beaten by the better team tonight.
Oh, the best
and they beat our captain, and that's it. £100 million player beat our captain tonight, and I don't think the first one was a penalty. So, yeah, we didn't do enough. Dessers had that chance, he knocked by the post in the first half, and then to be fair, I think Igamani was pretty poor when he came on. He had a chance, but it was wild. He was a bit lost. Aye, and that was only 2 chances as far as I can remember.
Well, obviously Raskin hit the post, mate.
Aye.
That was a big moment, mate. That was a big moment to get the pressure back on him. The critique of the management team is a double shuffle where we've taken Redvan off and we moved Diamondi, who was playing well, and moved him to the left wing-back position, which is alien to him. And when we could have just made a simple substitution and brought Salah on and moved Tav out to where Redvan was playing.
Do you think that 10 minutes was decisive?
No,
there was only 10 minutes in that, wasn't it?
It wasn't decisive, but if that was your shape, and then we lost the ball retention and the running power with the ball, Diamondi, and getting us up the park, because Connor Barron can't do that, and that's the point we're making. Port Bear, in you come.
I how you doing, mate? I think I'm the same way up. I said this at the very start. Football was a simple game, mate, and I think that would be the easiest shuffle. Taft to right back, Enciala into that back three, and then, you know, I used to say that penalty doesn't happen because the shape's still the exact same. I just think there was too much movement in the last 10 minutes of that game, in the last 10 minutes of the first half, that caused confusion. You could see the players all looking at each other, and they're looking over at the bench and they're all saying, what's to happen? The message wasn't clear. And again, you don't want that in the last 10 minutes, get into half time against Bilbao. And then the big centre forward, really clever in that pass, mate. He gets through, sticks his left leg in, and the contact, because John Shooter's goal side, he's caught the wrong side of him. He's not realised Raskin's getting back, so he tries to make the challenge, and he gets him, mate. The big man's played for up front, the big man's played through the foul from him. So, in my opinion, it is a penalty. And that kilt was before half time, because it's probably the worst, like someone touched on earlier on, worst time to lose a goal. We get into half time, we speak, we reevaluate, we sort out with a clear message that the formation we're getting back out. You know, and they could have brought Enciala in at half time, etc., and put Tav at the right side and sorted it out. And I just think a lot conspired. The injuries didn't help.
We didn't get any luck.
Before half time didn't help. No, we didn't get any rub of the green at all.
No,
and you need that oxygen when you play these big teams. You need to carry a bit of luck.
Mm-hmm. We didn't get any luck, and obviously we got a bit of luck when they missed a couple of chances. Right, I'll be really fair. I'll ask Josh, did you think the Suter incident was a penalty?
To be honest, I think it's 100% nailed on penalty. I think the forward's clever. Like, he gets in front of Shooter, but, you know, conscious what one of the callers said. I don't think Shooter does get the ball. I think he's late, a little bit clumsy, mistimes it, and, you know, you have to give him credit, the centre forward there, for, you know, the nous to get in front of Shooter. So yeah, for me, 100% nailed on penalty. But just to change the dynamic a little bit in the conversation, I've written down Liam Kelly. Is he the long-term solution in goal, or did he look to maybe buy in the summer or bring Jack back, or, you know, what's the scenario with that? Because it's been a bit of a problem area recently, hasn't it, until Liam's come in and excelled.
Well, he didn't have a lot today, and I'll ask David this. See, with the header with the boy, I know it was close. I need to see it back. Could Liam have done better? And am I being overcritical, or are we starting to blame goalies every time the ball goes in the net? David?
Sometimes we get that way. I've got to say, I thought Kelly had actually a really good game tonight. When he was coming out sometimes as well. Sometimes when he wasn't actually even getting the ball, he was he was making his presence. You know, he was coming out when that boy was through in the first half, and he didn't even touch the ball, but he put the boy off. Don't get me wrong. I've got to be honest. If you ask me now, I don't think Liam Kelly's a number one Rangers goalkeeper going forward. I don't think so. No for me. And that's no harm to him, but it's.
I'll turn the question in, David. Is Jack Butland?
Well, I was on here a couple of weeks ago after the Hibs game. He can't have one game against Fenerbahce at home and then thrown one in the following week. He can't do that with Rangers. Al McGregor made one or two mistakes, or 3 mistakes a season. Butland's thrown them into the net every other day. It can't. No, I don't know I don't know who we can get in, but I don't think either of them, to be honest. But I think Kelly deserves his chance.
He's got a future as part of the squad.
Oh, no question. But I mean, I'm not saying Kelly's a bad keeper. I mean, I thought he had a great game tonight, actually. I couldn't really complain about him. Even the one at Aberdeen the other week, I know a lot of people said, that was. I'm not overly convinced that was a mistake. I just think he could have maybe moved his feet a bit quicker. But going forward, he's no. He can't be a Rangers number one. He's no big enough for a Rangers number one. That's my opinion.
Mark, when you come.
I don't think we've seen enough of him. I think he looks all right. He looks steady enough. He's better. He's good with the ball at his feet, to be fair. So, yeah, when we're in possession, he's probably a good out. Overall, honestly, lad, I do think his team have done really well in Europe. We've been piss poor in the league, piss poor in the cups, but they've again flying the flag for Scottish football. I think we've just got to be proud tonight. I don't think we should be overcritical. I can't really say any one player was bad tonight. I think they all did well. With the limitations that we've got, clearly we've got a makeshift kind of backroom staff, and we've got what we've got on the pitch. I look forward to the next season in the takeover. The big opportunities, and like I said, the lads have done nothing wrong. They've probably done the best they could possibly do. So, up against £100 million players, we've done well. We've done well tonight overall.
Anyway, we've been joined by Bob. Good evening, Bob.
Hi, good evening. I'm just going to reiterate what the gentleman says is exactly right. It's exactly spot on. The situation that we're in to get where we were been nothing short of marvellous. We shifted a lot of good teams in Europe this year, and with a wee bit of luck, we could have shifted them all, but hey-ho, whenever. But well done, Rangers, to get as far as we could. A lot of bigger clubs than us, didn't they? So, onwards and upwards the next year.
Amen, Bob.
Hello.
Right. I'll tell you what we're going to do now. We're going to hear from Barry Ferguson. So I'll come right back to you, Bob, yeah?
No worries.
We're going to hear from Barry Ferguson.
Absolutely.
So get yourself a mute and let's hear from the manager.
Barry, the European journey comes to an end. Can I just get your reflections on that one tonight?
Well, clearly disappointed. I thought the work ethic was there. Just I thought our quality at times just wasn't there, which is a real hard one to take. Look, the guys admit that. As I said, since I've come through the doors, that their work rate has always been there in the quality at times. But I just was on the stage, a big stage tonight, where I felt we had to show a top level game, and unfortunately that wasn't the case.
Did you feel you got a bit more of that in the second half? There were a few chances in the second half there.
Yeah, but I'll go back to the first half. It was a penalty. It's a clear penalty. I seen it at the time. I thought it was a penalty. Went and had a look at obviously the iPad at the side, and again after the game watched it 2 or 3 times. It's a clear penalty and it's a clear red card. And then the second half in terms of we were a bit better, but again I have to shuffle past. There's a few injuries. It's no ideal, but that's part and parcel of football. And then I've just watched Nico's one. It's another penalty. So it never went for us tonight. So listen, we need to lick our wounds. We need to go away and rest and recover and make sure we come to work on Monday morning ready to go for the game at the weekend.
How difficult is that in a game when maybe decisions are going against you? You're having to be forced into changes to adapt to that?
Yeah, I think it changes the dynamic of the game because it's a penalty and it's a red card. So they get down to 10 men, and then Yeah, I don't understand at times some of the refereeing. But listen, I've had a taste of it now for 6 weeks and I'm starting to kind of get used to it, which is disappointing. But they need to start making the correct decisions. That's why you've got VAR as well. I just don't see why it wasn't given in similar to Nico's.
What have you said to the players in there now? How proud have you been of them over the past few weeks?
Yeah, be proud you got at this stage, but be disappointed. Make sure it hurts you, because it should hurt you. And we need to, as I said, take this hurt and disappointment into the remaining 5 games of the season.
Yeah, how do you approach the next few weeks now with the players?
Well, I've just said to them, I've set you a challenge. It needs to be 5 wins out of 5, 15 points. Let's finish the season as positive we can. It's been a really disappointing season. I'm not going to hide away from the fact that it's been that way. Tonight's another disappointment, not just for myself and the staff, the players as well, and the supporters. So we need to go and show a bit of pride the remaining 5 games of the season, and I'll make sure I get that.
I'd like to see that other one back. I've not really seen it from an angle that when Nichols hit the post, to see Josh. I don't know if you picked up on that one when it bounced up. The defender had hit his horn before it came down. But it's a similar decision to the last week when we got the penalty against us. Yeah, years ago there wouldn't have been penalties, but the rules have changed, and what's good for the goose is good for the gander, mate.
Yeah, I mean, if it does strike his arm, it's brushed it. I mean, Ali was trying to pick it out in the brief bits that we got on television, but very, very like inconclusive on that one for me, really. But you know, Barry speaks well, doesn't he? You know, he's honest, he's forthright. You know, he speaks about the shuffling of the pack, so to speak, with the injury situation. He had to adapt. He had to be brave in terms of some of the decisions, whether the fans like it or not. You know, Barry's paid to make these big calls, and you know, his head's ultimately the one that's going to be on the block. Just to perhaps reframe what I said earlier, a lot of fans don't want Barry as the manager. So what type of manager do Rangers look for then? I mean, I'm not asking for names because we'll be here all night, but what type of manager?
I'll say in one word, mate. One word: a winner.
Yeah, it's clear and concise, mate. Yeah, I like that.
Simple, mate. A winner. Bob Gerrard, you come, mate. Then GB.
Well, I'm just like everybody else. I'm so exasperated with that decision. I've seen decisions like that all week, and that was a stonewall penalty. The guy, he got a hand for Dessers' jersey. And Dessers was quite right to go down because he knew he'd sell the boy a hand for his jersey. It was a stonewaller. Am I right in saying that Jose Mourinho said last week there's no way Rangers are going through this tie because they'll not let them? Well, that might sound a bit ridiculous, but it didn't sound so hollow to me after the night anyway. Because, as you say, if they went down to 10 men like we did last week, well, it's a whole different ballgame. But hey-ho, that's the way it is. We're out the competition, and on we go to next year. As you say, Ox, you're quite right. You get a winner as a manager, an out-and-out winner. That's what we need, to be a winning club again, and I'm sure we will be. I'll let you get one then.
Josh, just on the managing side of things, I just want a manager that can come in and get us set up with good attacking football again. I'm tired of the same old. I'm tired of seeing different tactics throughout a game. Clermont as well kind of started going down the same route as well. So for me, I just want a guy to come in and set us up, play a good system of football, and that it's exciting again. Probably if I could rewind the clock, go back to how we were playing under Gerrard.
Is that you answered the question? Who you want for manager in there? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I wouldn't say Nottingham, Ox, but what I say is I want that kind of football back.
I know you wouldn't say I'm Nottingham, but Mrs. GB wouldn't be too happy, would she?
She would have him in the morning, mate.
You do, mate.
Aye, the bags would be well packed, mate.
At least you're honest, GB. At least you're honest. David, we're disappointed, but we were realistic. I think we knew it was going to be tough, and it's moments, mate. And do you know, I thought about a penalty kick after the game. I never really thought about the sending off, mate. It didn't really enter my head.
But I heard Barry there talking, and I've got to say, I'm not one to go down the road of referees and that. Now, to me, the Dessers one was a penalty. How clear do you want it? The jersey's ripped off him. The one he's talking about the handball, that's not a penalty for me. It literally just, the guy doesn't even see it. I'm more concerned.
That was the same as Sterling's last week, mate.
No, I understand that. I agree.
Aye.
But I'm more concerned with moving Diamondi for the middle of the park to out wide. It's been a good run. In terms of the manager, there is absolutely no question for me. Steven Gerrard, no question. I know people say, he won one. Steven Gerrard for me is the man to come back to Ibrox. I would take. We've been doing the form route so many times. All these guys with the coaching badges and that, and getting it all wrong. Many times they're going to do it. Get Gerrard in the door, and he can. And Gerrard's got that. He can attract top players. I mean, Gerrard's bringing up I know people. He was at the end of his career, but bringing up Defoe. And Morelos never even got a booting. And Defoe come up here. You know what I mean? Just a real. So I agree with. I can't remember who said that there, but I think no question, Gerrard. I wouldn't be doing the form route for me. And I know it sounds mental, and people go, I've heard people go on like Mourinho, for instance. I know that's a crazy shout, right? And people say, Mourinho come in. I'm not overly convinced. Mourinho at Ibrox. I just think it'd be a shambles. I would have Gerrard or Mourinho for me. So that's my point.
Port Bear.
No, David. I'll tell you. I've said it on you before. I think I would take Jose, mate. I would have Jose Mourinho in a minute at Ibrox. I think he'd be. Obviously, we know his level of manager. He's an absolute winner. Some people say his football's, quite prehistoric now because how far football's moved on. Me in particular, I'm pretty bored with Premier League. I think it's all this, possession-based tippy-tappy. I'll give you an example, Van Dijk, and I think it's a boy at Newcastle. I've got the most touches in England right now. Centre-backs, I don't want to see centre-backs on the ball having the most touches. I want to see my midfielders and my strikers and wingers having all the touches and showing their class. I think Mourinho's tactics and setup, mate, would be ideal for their game in Scotland, and I think it'd be absolute blockbuster, especially against them across the road. And he'd certainly put us, Scotland as a nation, back on the map with that sort of level of manager, and I think that's the level we should be aiming for. No more project coaches or coaches that's never managed the British game before. I think for me, it's only my opinion, I would have Mourinho tomorrow, mate.
I understand what you're saying, Port, but Gerrard, look at our defensive record under Gerrard. It was incredible. And the football we were playing at times and all, scoring goals every single week. I mean, Gerrard will get you that football back again. He's a winner. Now, I know he's not got all the coaching badges, but that means nothing to me. See the coaching badges, it means nothing. Because we've had guys in coaching badges and they've all done it. And I understand what you're saying about Mourinho, but can you imagine Mourinho in Scotland with this press and all that? I mean, it's just a recipe for disaster for me.
There you go, Josh. There you go.
Sorry.
When you go, Port, and then we'll go back to Josh.
I think different option. Dave, I think he wouldn't mess about with it. He's been round the block with the Premier League and the Italian League. He's been at Madrid. The press here would have a clue to deal with him, mate. He would tie them up in knots and take none of their nonsense. I know what you're saying, the old goldfish bowl and pressure, Scottish football. He's had pressure. He's at Fenerbahce dealing with Turkey and Galatasaray. He doesn't. These things don't face him, mate. And what I like about him as well, no nonsense. You know where you stand, Mourinho, and I think.
But surely tried and trusted. Surely tried and trusted.
Do you know my worry with Gerrard, mate? Gerrard comes with Beale. Gerrard comes with other previous staff that worked under him. Who would you have bringing in with Gerrard as his backroom staff? That's my first worry about Gerrard.
I mean, I don't know about his backroom staff. I'm not sure about that. But to me, I mean, Gerrard, I just don't see any argument against Gerrard coming in. I really don't. It just amazes me that.
I'll tell you what. We've got all week to talk about it. So you two go on and we'll have a debate. I'll challenge you. I'll book you in. Yeah, for and against. We can have an arm wrestle. And by the way, he's that flimsy now.
That's me doing 1-0.
He's a lightweight now. He used to be a heavyweight. Now he's a lightweight. Anyway, I'll go. Josh, your spark, mate. I'll go to Josh first for his last words. Josh, always good to hear from you, mate.
Yeah, cheers. I just think the ownership situation in the takeover. Hope that can provide the tonic for the club. As an Everton fan, I can testify for that because the new owners come in. They've got David Moyes in to the end of the season, and we've seen an instant uplift in results, performances. The atmosphere within the stadium, the fan satisfaction, all of those things, and the promise of funds in the summer. I think it's going to be a similar thing with Rangers. That's why I've been asking questions about this, about Mr. Ferguson, and about where they sort of go next. Because normally, like when the new owners come in, they come in with the iron fist, don't they? And the first thing that changes is normally the manager, because they want to put that hammer down and sort of, if it is going to be a massive name, then that is going to provide that tonic, as well as what's gone on in Europe as well. Like let's not forget that they've done awfully well to get to this position, and with a bit more luck and a few things going the way, particularly with the injuries and refereeing decisions and other factors, they could quite conversely have won that game tonight. So it's important to keep the perspective. Like domestically, it's been terrible. I can't dress it up any other way. Defensively, they've been a shambles. I think that's an area they need to look at. Within the transfer market, defenders and the goalkeeping position as well. But on the whole, you can sort of pick points out moving forward, and it is that takeover, isn't it? You could probably do a whole show dedicated to that, but that's going to start next season. The reset button, isn't it? Start again, start afresh, and build on some of the foundations that's been built through Europe in particular. And the aforementioned Mr. Ferguson coming in and just giving us that little bit of an uplift. Whether he's tactically good enough to get the job, I don't know. But he loves Rangers, screams Rangers. He's captained and managed Rangers now, and he speaks to it really well on a podcast I used to be on with him in the past. So I'm backing Barry, but a lot of the fans want to see that transition, and I could totally get behind that as well if that's the direction you want to go in. But yeah, I want to end on a positive,
Yeah, great to hear from you as always, mate. Don't be a stranger now, yeah?
Oh yeah, cheers boys. I'll pop back in next season, and see how the Gers are doing. So yeah, thanks for taking the time to have me on as someone who's a neutral. It's hard at times because it isn't my club, but I've picked up on the passion from people that phone in, and Rangers has always been and always will be a massive club. So keep that going, boys.
I'll be in your part of the world at the weekend, mate, yeah?
Yeah.
Visiting Merseyside at the weekend, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Well, we've got Man City on Sunday, so the best of luck to us, isn't it? I mean, we've done well, though. We play Liverpool, Arsenal and Forest and got 4 points out of 9. I'd probably bit your hand off for that, especially earlier on in the season. So, that's where the toffees are at the minute. We're in good shape, boys, really,
Cheers, mate. Good to hear from you. Last word for your good self, Mark?
Aye, I think similar to what the lad before me said. I think they did well overall. Overachieved in Europe, underachieved in the league. I personally would give Barry the next 12 months. I don't think he's done anything wrong, really. I think picked up the pieces from Big Phil, and he's did the best he could with the card, the hand he was dealt. So I did all right, Barry.
Cheers, Mark. Get involved with that debate then. Get involved with the debate when Port Bear and David go to it. Me and you can get ringside, GB.
I know. We can just sit in the fence.
I'll go David's corner man. You go Port Bear's corner man, yeah?
Aye, well, I'm getting the lightweight like him anyway, so I'll need a hot cocktail for him.
Right, last word for your good self, Bob, Gia. Oh, we lost Bob, Gia. David, last word, mate.
Aye, brave effort in Europe. really good effort for Rangers in Europe. They're bread and butter Scottish football. You need to get back to this next season. They can't keep losing everything in Scottish football. That's your bread and butter. So we have to. It can't be a root and branch clear out every single season. You need to get this one right, and hopefully, and we're all delighted. We know what's going to happen next season. You know, a bit of money and that coming in. So I just want Rangers to start winning domestically. Just a very, very quick point here. We said we won 4 games under Barry, but we're doing 2-0 2 day games. You know what I mean? The amount of goals we're shipping. So, it's important to get it right this time. I think we will, because they stagger you at times, Rangers, how they get results in Europe, and then. But anyway, that's a different point. Brave effort for Rangers. And next season, you know, we really need to get our house in order and really, you know, start winning domestic games.
Cheers, mate. Are you with us, Bob? Yeah. No, he's not. GB, last word.
Thanks for having us on, Ox. A good show, and again, just kind of echo what the guys are saying. It was a good effort. It was a good run in Europe again this season. But I still feel as though I've walked away for the night wondering what if we just took some chances, if we'd just done a couple of things different, then I think we could have got something of that game tonight, unfortunately.
The 30 seconds either side of half time were sore on us. Penalty and a player getting off the pitch. Port Bear.
Aye, you know, great effort. Another great run in Europe again this year. It's all about small margins and a bit of luck on the night, mate. And we never get either the night. As I said earlier on, we were beaten by a better team over the 2 legs, I think, if we're totally honest. But 5 games to go remaining in the season, mate. And like Barry's laid down the gauntlet to the boys. Let's go on the 5 positive results to take us into next season, mate.
Yep. Can I thank Bob Jeff for joining us, David for joining us, Mark for joining us, of course, Josh. It's always great to hear from Josh. And of course, the one and only Port Bear and GB, the terrible twosome, back together again. Thanks to Old School Blue for doing the technicals, box the background. Thanks to Ranger support tonight who made their way to Bilbao. We could hear them loud and proud. Thanks to each and every one of them. Thanks to everybody for listening. Rangers Radio will be back on Tuesday. We're having the weekend off now to refresh and maybe drown my sorrows. But never forget this, that we are the people. Take it away, Old School Blue.